we go for some more Linux shell commands and utilities. Probably O1. I'll end up doing more of these along the way, but this particular video is going to cover some of the things you'll see me use most. I'm also going to show you how to get help and where to get more help and how to search the man pages, as they're called. Some of the commands that we're about to cover here are the cat command, CAT, which is used to concatenate files and prints to standard output. There's a command called grep, G-R-E-P. Actually, let me do this here. Cat help. That's how you can get command help, just about with any command, --help. It tells you a little bit about the cat command, what it does. Let's see here, what was next? Grep. I'm going to clear that with a clear command. Get a nice clean slate. Grep, --help. Oh, this one's a lot more. Let me scroll up a little here. So, search for patterns in a file. It shows you kind of the usage here and how to use it. Gives you an example. You can kind of search down through here. -I from here means ignore case. We're searching for this pattern, hello world, in the files menu.c and main.c. So grep can help you extract information from files. It can be really handy for automated things. Clear that out of there again. WC. Word counts is what I try to think of that as. You can use WC to help you determine all kinds of things, from byte counts to number of characters, new line counts, all kinds of things about what you put into it, be it a file or information coming from standard output. That's a phrase we'll get into a little bit later when we talk about standard file descriptors. Let's see here. More, clear, more, --help. The more command is somewhat safe command for reading files. Like if I wanted to more varlog syslog, I can do that. This down in the lower left, you can see I'm watching not the whole file, but I've got 13% of the file showing. I hit space. This is the next 13% of the file. Space. On down. You can navigate through the file like that. I can also use like the up and down arrow keys to move through it, and Q to get out of here. Clear my screen. And that was the more command. There's another one that's less. It's the opposite of more. Like man, less. See, it's the opposite of more. This is the manual page for less. I accessed it by typing man less. Another way you can get help about a command if you already know what you're looking for. Even config files a lot of times can be in there. I'm trying to think. These man time. Oh. Yeah. So zip didn't work there. I'm sure I could find something, but that's kind of the general gist for the man command. It will retrieve a manual page for the particular command you feed into it, and you can page through it, and each one has, let's see here, man grep. You can go to the bottom, and it'll often have links out to other commands, just using the down arrow here, Shift G, all the way to the bottom. Here's like other man pages that might find associated interest with the grep command here we're looking at. Full documentation links. So man pages, indispensable. What I hate is whenever I type man and then the command I'm looking for and I'm told the man pages haven't been installed, because while that's great in production on a dev box, I really need to have my manual pages available for research purposes usually. Let's see here. Last said Yeah, let's see here. This shows the top of a file. And then I'm back at the prompt already. You can -3. I just want to see the first 3 lines, I think. Yeah. All kinds of flags that you can feed to it there. We can see with the help on it. Number of lines, bytes. There that. Tail is kind of the opposite. Shows you the bottom side of a file, or the tail end of a file. I think this one also does, like, I can do 5. Just see 5 lines. By default, it does 10, I believe. We can count that. It's WC-L. How many lines are we getting? 10 for sure. I can also tell it, give me 20. Right? Yeah. And then, actually, it shows all 20. Clear that. Let's see here where we at. Copy, move. CP is the copy files and directories command. MV, that's a copy. Source to destination. Move, the same thing. Source to destination. It's basically a rename the move command is. Here. And let's see here. Remove, RM. Remove, and in the file name, source. Recursively, take the tree all the way down. Dangerous when you're doing force and -R, so be careful. Make sure you're specifying the exact directory you want to get. Okay, so let's see. There's rmdir. That's remove a directory. It does need to be empty. Let's see here. Make dir creates a directory. Cool things here is the -p or --parents flag, which if you want to create like nested directories, we'll do that in just a moment. You specify that -p and just give it the whole path and it'll go all the way down, creating the directories. Mode lets you set the mode on the final directory created in that kind of a chain, or if you're just creating one directory, it'll set the mode or accessibility level on that directory. Let's see here. And then you've got actual change mode. This will change the permissions on the file. And then change ownership. Down. A bit longer here. Let's see here. Yeah. Change ownership. Feed it the options, which you can find in the text below. Owner and group. And then the file you're messing with. Let's see. All right. So that's some of the most common things you'll be using on the command line. There's a ton more. It's really hard to break them up into little bite-sized pieces here. So let me see here. What do we got next? Shell redirection. This is some of what you were already seeing with those commands where I use the right arrow, the redirect that way, or sometimes you'll see 2 of them together. Those help you mess with the standard input and output streams that exist on a Linux system. Now let me break that down. So in Linux, there are 3 standard file descriptors, as they're called, or streams, if you will. Standard input, which is the short version is stdin. Standard output, short version stdout. Standard error, short version stderr. Let me show you where those live on the file system. We've got dev tt star. That star is a globbing mechanism. It will look for and return any file in this path that starts with our phrase here. So what we see here is symlink dev stderr is a link over to the process procfs file system. and it goes to file descriptor 2. Standard input, normally file descriptor 0. Standard output, normally file descriptor 1. You don't need to know these parts. I mean, it's helpful to know in the long run and as you grow your experience, but day to day early on, you need to know these words. Instead, standard input, standard output, standard error. That's how you'll reference these things when you are building what I'm going to call command pipelines. So when you press keys at the keyboard, the keystrokes that are generated to go to the bash shell go through standard input. When that input is interpreted by the shell and the shell creates output, like printing the F back to me on the terminal or on the screen, that's coming back to me from standard output. I believe. The same thing happens like if I do ls. I've typed ls, sent those two keys, I'm hitting enter, I'm sending that key through standard input, and I forgot I want the A. There we go. The standard output comes these items, right? That's my list. Standard error is if, let me see if I can generate standard error. Standard error would be, yeah, I cannot access root. I am not root. Root is the admin user. So when I try to access root, this is going to be printed to standard error. Some programs that get written, they don't abide that. They'll write error output to standard output. It's a poor practice. It does happen. So if you're ever capturing errors and output and trying to pipeline them around and things, and it's not showing up where you expect it, check the other file descriptor and see if maybe the developers just made a interesting design choice. All right, let's see here. IO redirection, what we're talking about here, I'm only going to barely brush on it for what you can learn. Redhat.com, sysadmin, Linux-L-redirection-pipelining. I'm having trouble putting links in my YouTube's descriptions. I've got to do some kind of verification step or something. So figure I'll give you all a way to find this. It's got some awesome little diagrams on it. I don't want to steal their content. This person, Alexon, did an awesome job with the blog. I'm going to search for it at Google, site:/redhat.com, because that's the only place we want results from. Linux shell redirection pipelining. That should get you it as the first result there. That's going to have way more ability to describe to you what's happening here than I can give you visually in my terminal. So let's move on to playtime though, right? So we're in a home directory, we're in working directory, pwd. I don't have anything very interesting in here. Nothing other than the default ones, which are all hidden. Right? Those come with my home directory. They're part of what is referred to as a skeleton config loadout. Beneath that, we can make a directory. Called lab work, why not? And now we do see that. Both different ways it shows up here. Now we'll change directory into it. And we're in a clean directory. Clear my screen to get a clean slate here. And now we're going to see what it's like to use makedir again. Makedir, well, I had mentioned parents and mode before. Tree, I have no directories here. Let's makedir -p, and we're going to make their example. And I'm going to put 3 directories underneath this directory. Do that. Oh, what did I typo? I need an I there. There we go. So no feedback from it, but if I run tree now, we should have a tree that represents the directory structure I just created. Absolutely. Tree-help. Right. Tons of help here. You can see what tree will do. List all the files, list directories only. So all kinds of good stuff to dig through there. Clean slate here. We can also, don't have any files in here. Let's create a couple of empty files. These files will be named touch.1 and touch.2. Oh, if I spell it right, it will be. There we go. They don't have anything in them. Cat, we can, like I said, look at what's in the files. So let's look at the help for the touch command. What it's actually made for is updating timestamps. But if the file itself doesn't exist, it's going to be created unless you pass in these flags for no create or no dereference. Clear? If you want to create a file with some content, there's the echo command we were looking at, right? I can just put some file content and it'll content, there we go. Right back to standard out. We echoed the content to standard out. I can send that elsewhere. I want to redirect, that's the single arrow, into a file called content. Wow. Now we've got our content file. It's got some bytes in it there. These two are still empty. Got our content file. And we've got some file content. Let's see. Now let's say we want to make a copy of a file. Copy, content file to copy of content file. Why not, right? Cat content file to see what's in there. Is our copy the same? Oh, I'm making a mess on my terminal. There we go. All the same. What you see me doing sometimes there is I hit up and I get the same command that I just ran. I can hit up again. I'll get the one before that. History. Right? These are all the commands I've been running. So you can grab that when you're done doing something and save it in a log if you ever want to keep what you just ran on something for review later. Let's move that copy. Move. Copy of the content file. And what I did there was a tab completion. COPY. That is the only file that matches that. If I hit tab now, it just fills in the rest. Bash, our shell that we're in, is really good about that kind of completion. Move. Copy of content. Yeah. Now you can see our copy of content has become moved. It's still got the 19 bytes. Add in a tab complete. And file content. Let's see here. You can combine some of this stuff. We've got our file output. We want to take that output and make a file list, right? Now we have a file list. Let me clear the screen for clarity. At our file list. Now that wasn't an LS, that's actually file content. I can open it up. Move around in here. Add stuff. Not teaching VI right now, so I'll get out of that. If you are following along and VI'd that file, you can hit escape a few times just to make sure you're at the command mode. Hit colon and Q, and it should let you out. Hold colon Q, enter. Moving on along. Let's see here. We can also use an append modifier, right? We've got a file list. We cat it, it shows us what's in there. If we were to cat it into another file, file list copy. You see our file list copy now, it's the same size. Now let's double it, right? Up. I'm going to back up over here. Maintain the redirect into an append operator. The two right arrows together like that will keep the content that's already in file list copy and add the file list to it again. We should double the size, yeah. And we look at what's in the file. We've got 2 copies of it. Let's see here. Cat file list copy because it has some doubles in there. And let's rep. I want to see everything that has the word touched on it, or just touch. And it shows me all 4 because we've got 2 copies, right? I want to sort that. I pipe that to sort. That's what that operator here is called, the pipe operator. And it literally takes the output from this command, cat file copy list, pipes it as input to grep, which is searching for touch, and pipes that output to the sort command, which you can see before it was 0102, 0102. Now we're getting 0101, or you can see. You can also tell sort you want to send it to unique, and we should lose 2 because it'll cut any duplicates. Sort -u is also unique, built into the same command. They work differently, so make sure you get the one that you want. Let's see. Line counts we've done already. And yeah, I think that's about it. Just a nice run through of some of the other crazy commands you'll see me run through when we're actually doing like the DNS build out and some of the other things. When I access other commands that are utilities like that as we go on, I'll try to give a brief overview on them, but these particular ones I probably won't circle back and reference again. Tree on the lab work real quick there. That's kind of the mess that we ended up creating right there. History, you can get some help on. Show you what all the history does. If you ever dump a secret into your history, you can pass the -D to get it out of there. History. I want to get rid of line 255. History. -D. 255. I like to leave a comment removing secret. Or, whatever. And then you can see why that line 255 was removed. Something I run into on systems that I've been managing. I'll catch y'all next time. Let me know if y'all have any questions. Have a good one.